Hello and welcome back to another behind the scenes video where I'm showing you what I am working on. So as you can see, I'm revisiting Dukla Pass and I made a major overhaul of the map. Although from the minimap the only thing you probably see right away is that I added another flag called Kruslober Orchard, which is directly between this northern area, the village area, and this southern area, which is more of a tank area. So in the past what often happened is that there was a stalemate that developed as soon as the Russians captured this up here and the Germans captured this down here. Or well, they didn't capture it, they defended it. And then there was a stalemate along this, area as a front line, and since this area is fairly open and very deadly for infantry, the whole thing often was kind of boring, where the whole map would kind of slow down and end in a stalemate with no side really bleeding. So that's the main reason why I added this orchard flag here. So now there's really a line going here, and I also added I also added a lot of cover there. But okay, let's look at the flag first. Now let's spawn in here, and yeah, this is the flag. The flag zone itself is in this little compound, I guess. Now this is just an extension of the original village, really. This is the flag zone. I have an open building here that you can defend. You have some pickup kits, Panzerfaust, submachine guns and so on. So yeah, just another flag. You also get a transport vehicle here. So what I also did is, and I will make a little cut now, what I also did is I added a lot of cover around the river. Now I am at the Valley of Death flag, and in the past what happened is often people spawned here and then they wanted to go towards the village, and the thing is that it used to be basically suicidal. So what I did is, and I already did that kind of in the first fix I did for the map, is where I added these rocks, which do work well as cover and as positions where you can, for example, lie down with a machine gun and give covering fire. But in order to make movement a bit more easy, I added lots of these hedges around the river. So now you can really use the area around the river to get around as infantry. In addition to this, they also have two other functions. They kind of look better because usually when you have a river there often is this kind of shrubbery around it. But also they mark where you can cross the river in a tank and where you can't. Because in the past you often saw people slip their tanks trying to cross the river. Now this is not possible. However, instead I have added several forts where you can now officially cross the river. And they look like this. You have no shrubbery here, and here you can easily drive your tank through, no flipping, no damage, and up the other side. And I basically added these things all around the river area. And in addition to that also other stuff, like for example, one problem that often plagued the map before was that people, because the river was the only real cover for infantry would jump in. And then it's like, oh, okay, where can I get out? Can I get out here? So the thing is, now you can't get out here because there's this hedgerow there where you can't go through anyway. However, I added several areas like this where you can officially climb out of the river as infantry, and for example also cross the river. So I think these changes to the river area will generally make the map more dynamic and more easy to play for infantry. Dukla Pass as a map is characterized by an opposition between really open areas, like for example this big field area, and on the other hand these forests. So basically the thought behind this is these open areas are, unless you really control the whole area here, are suicidal to use. They are killing zones. So instead infantry and tanks would advance through the forest, which is what happens usually, but I still wasn't completely happy with how this worked out, because often, even though the forests do give some cover, they are open in a way where you can shoot into them from outside. So of course this is realistic, but I did add more of these hedges, like around the river, also around these forested areas, to represent, really thick shrubbery at the edge of forests, like it often occurs. So now, as you can see, as Russian infantry and tanks attacking down this very popular route towards Kruslova schoolhouse, you now have these hedges that you can use as cover and to protect yourself from German long-range fire. So you really have to look out for this area, but not for this flak gun and maybe the Marder here and maybe the Pak gun here. So this makes it a lot easier for the Russians to attack through here and a lot harder for the Germans to defend it. Another thing that I might mention since I'm here is that I also overhauled the textures, although unless you really know the map by heart you probably won't notice, but I did make some improvements there simply because I did learn more about texturing since I made this map, which has been quite a while now. But yeah, other than that the village area is largely unchanged, except of course the river has the hedges that I talked about earlier. So, let's say you are the Germans and this situation occurs, which is something that was basically the knell of death for the German team in the current public version, simply because if you're in this situation as the Germans, you are completely screwed. It's very hard to break out, you have the bleed, and because you still have Farmstead, your reinforcements don't trigger. Well, this is something that I changed. Now, if you lose these flags, even if you still have Farmstead, the Germans get their reinforcements, and they actually get more reinforcements than before. In this situation they would now get 2 Panthers, 1 captured T-34 and 1 Stuck, in addition to their usual tanks. So lots of more firepower to break out of this and break the stalemate, because this is what most of the changes are about, making the map less stalematey, more dynamic. In addition to this, there's lots of more cover for the German infantry. One thing that, for example, happens a lot is people want to advance towards Valley of Death, or maybe even Kruslova. So in the past this was relatively hard, but now this forest area has also been provided with these hedges, as well as of course the river. The river also has forts, so you can see, okay, I can easily as infantry go up here. Okay, maybe not quite as easily as I thought, but still. Or as a tank, you also have now another way across this little river that is also very easy to see. Just drive over here and then you have a fort here from which you can support, for example, an infantry attack. Whereas the areas that are too steep are marked with hedges. So a German counterattack would attack across here. And then use these hedges as cover, and as you can see, again, this makes it a lot more easy for infantry to take the fight to the enemy. There's another fort here if you want to switch it up and go for orchards, for example. Or you can go through here, attack into the forest area, and from there into the Valley of Death itself. So I think this will make, again, the map a lot more dynamic and a lot more easily played by infantry. Generally speaking, I hope that these changes will improve the map and at the same time keep what makes it unique, the big open areas and the forests where infantry can sneak through. I think these things will still be the case, it will just work a bit better. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, have a nice day, and tell me what you think about these changes down in the comments.